talk a little bit more about how to do writing after you're done reading or even during the time that you are reading. So last evening, I sent you home and we kind of talked a little bit about what were some good strategies for getting some writing after you're done reading. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So here are some tips for taking your writing about what you read from good to great. So that's kind of a hard part. So when I'm reading, for one thing, I don't like to stop. And for another thing, what am I going to write about? Am I writing the words that I think are really interesting? Am I writing everything that I just read about? What kinds of things do I even think about while I'm reading? So one good tip is to spend 10% of your reading time writing. And prioritize quality over quantity. You don't have to give me 5 pages when you're writing about what you're reading about. So the most important thing I want to see is quality over quantity. That means give me something really good as opposed to 5 pages. You can give me a small paragraph as long as what you wrote was really good compared to giving me a lot of stuff that I don't need to hear about. And thinking about that 10% of your time, if you're reading for 30 minutes, 10% of that time is only about 3 minutes. So think about the amount of time that you are writing. It doesn't have to be a really long time. Just as long as you give me a good quality writing. Next, only jot things that you can't hold in your head. If you can remember that our main character, when we were reading from my book, if you can remember that he called Mitch a canary because of his yellow pants and yellow shirt, if that part sticks in your head and that won't leave you, you don't have to put that down on your paper. But if you think that you might forget some of the minor details, if you think you might forget about the fact that Mitch pointed at our main character because of the lengths of his pants, is there anybody who had forgotten about that part? Did you? Yeah. So that part is something that I may not remember, but I sure am not going to forget that Mitch got called a Tweety Bird. So make sure that you only put down the parts that may leave you, but they are important. Next, don't record your first thought. Record your most interesting thoughts. Make sure that as we're going along and you're reading, the first thing that pops into your head may not always be the most interesting thing. Make sure that it's something that's really going to catch a reader's attention, something that has to do with the plot of the story. It doesn't have to be, as you're going along, write down every single thing that happened. That's not what we're looking for. Make sure that it's an interesting thought. Let's think about what we read with our main character and Mitch and Sean. What were some interesting thoughts that we had about our main character and what took place? Thinking about that main character and thinking about it doesn't have to be every single thought that we had, but we do want some interesting thoughts. Right now, take a minute and talk to the people beside you about some of the interesting thoughts that may have taken place during that time. I'm going to give you about a minute to talk to the people beside you. Remember, now, our main character, we said at first that we thought he wasn't so nice to the Allens, right? He treated the Allens kind of badly. And we said that he may have been sarcastic and maybe even ruthless. Did we see that when he made fun of Mitch? Was he ruthless when he made fun of Mitch? What evidence do you have to support that he was ruthless? What did he absolutely did. The same thing that Mitch was doing to him, he did back to Mitch. Think about all of the things that just took place. Take a minute and write in your notebooks. You can talk to the people next to you. What were some interesting things that took place? In your group, make sure you have one thing down on your paper. What were some interesting things that took place?
In their book or in the Mitch story?
In the Mitch story, yes. What were some interesting things that took place between our main character, Mitch, and Sean? What were some interesting things that took place in that story? We don't know. What we read yesterday on the Mitch is so.
You need to have them act it out and have a Mitch and have a, and so they can get their part.
To go through their reader's notebook, but they don't write this book. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What kinds of interesting thoughts did you have? What kinds of interesting thoughts did you have about what we read?
The main character made Sean laugh more than Mitch.
Ah, he never dreamt that that's where did he dream he was always going to stay or end up?
Making Sean laugh.
That's what he wanted most out of everything else. What else?
The main character took Mitch's place
In
in the kingdom.
the kingdom. That's where he desired to be. And what kinds of things did he have to do in order to get there?
Make Sean laugh.
Yes, he had to make him laugh. Okay. What else?
They had a verbal battle. Like first, the dude in yellow told get a ruler for the main character, but then the main character came back with you should get a mirror. Somebody should get a mirror.
Oh, so he said because his pants were not the same length, you should get a ruler. And he came right back. He was ready for it. he felt that shame, that humiliation, and he froze in the moment. He took it back. Okay, what else?
So he was watching Jester for 3 days and seeing what he was talking about. And when he got made fun of, he knew what his action was going to be.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Boys and girls, some other things that we can think about as we are reading to make sure, decide what kind of writing best suits your thinking. Not everybody is going to be the same. Sometimes you just might want to put Post-it notes. Sometimes you just want to write like mad and write down your thoughts. Sometimes you might just want to put little jots down on the sides. That's how I work best. I like to just jot little things down. Sometimes you might want to put a table or a sketch. Lots of different ways, lots of different things come along as you are reading. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes. We don't have a whole lot of time remaining.